Welcome back to the Unapologetic Podcast. I obviously have been off for a little bit this summer. I intentionally did this like pullback thing, is what I kind of called it, because I wasn't totally off. I didn't completely take the time off, but I really pulled back a lot on specific things. And I have to say, it was so nice. It was so nice. And I'm going to go into some tangible things here in a minute, especially around, if you want to take time off in your business, just my thoughts around that and really how you can do this and like planning ahead for it. Because the big thing that I want you to get out of the episode today is like, it's so important for us to do this, whether, like, honestly, whether you're a business owner or not, like most people that are listening to this obviously probably are, but truly, you do need to take time for yourself. And we don't do this nearly enough. And it's so interesting because, we start our businesses and we think that we're going to have, well, we see the online thing and, time freedom and blah, 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 the flexible schedule and the whatever, all of these promises, right? That can potentially happen. And you can have the time freedom, the flexible schedule, all of these things. And you can take time off. But we get into this and we're like, oh my God, but I don't want to because what happens if my business fails? What happens if this goes wrong if I take time off? What if? And then there's the constant feeling of having to be online all the fucking time. And that was one thing that really surprised me, probably the most actually, in taking this little like pullback time. I really took time off of posting. I did post some things. It was very intentional and it was not a lot. And I really took some time off because honestly, when the summer started, I didn't I didn't feel it, I think, at the time because we get into this mode where we're just like going and going, and we get to this certain level of, you know, functioning that we always just function at. And that's just what we do. I was burnt the fuck out. Like, honestly, and not even so much from business necessarily, because I am generally fairly intentional about what I do, although there are some things that I definitely did recognize that, I don't really have to be doing, which I'll also talk about. But it was interesting because when I really slowed down, I was like, holy shit, I'm tired. And I really needed to take some time to slow down and just enjoy the summer and enjoy some, you know, time away and the time to be able to actually reflect on things. And we don't take that nearly enough either. That was another huge thing. It actually allowed me time to like reflect on what I've done in my business so far, what I've done for like so many years. I mean, I've been doing truly business strategy and systems for over 13 years. Like it's been a fucking long time. I've been, my business has been running as it is now for almost 3 years. And this, pullback time, whatever, I don't know what else to call it, whatever, it really allowed me to reflect on some things and think about, okay, do I like how this is running? Is this how I want to go forward? Like, how do I really want to structure things? And it isn't, spoiler alert or not, whatever, I'm not like doing a full rebrand or restructure or anything. That's not what's happening. Absolutely not. I fucking love what I do. But it was just like really leaning into, yes, I absolutely do love this. And also recognizing, who or getting clearer on, I guess, like who do I want to work with? What ways do I truly love working with clients? What does that look like? Just all of those things and cleaning up some areas within offers and different things like that that we don't really have the opportunity to do when we're constantly just pushing forward all of the fucking time because we get into that so much. And it's that hustle harder mentality that is constantly pushed online. Like it truly is, even though it's so weird because there's like this dichotomy of like, oh, you know, you can have the time freedom, you can have whatever, the flexible schedule, but also you want to have 100K months, you want to have $1 million months. Like those things don't go together. Like, what the fuck? What is going on here? So, anyways, it was amazing to just have that time to truly allow myself to like relax, spend time with my family, enjoy the summer and the heat, which I love. And I'm hoping we'll still go into September some because technically summer's not over, even though the kids are like back in school. So let's just like hold on to that. But anyways, so I wanted to talk about this today and really give you some like tangible things that you can think about in terms of taking time off in your business because we truly don't do this enough. Whether it's just like a weekend or you actually want to take like a step back for a bit, or you have to take a step back for a bit. Let's be real. You can do that. That is a thing that is possible. And so much of the time, I think we just think that it's not, but it truly is. And especially when you think about it in terms of the things that I'm going to talk about today. So, the one thing that I think is super important, like I had decided this months ago that I was going to do this. This wasn't like the summer hit and I was feeling really burnt out. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm going to take it off. Like, not at all. This was super intentional and I had planned this for months in advance. So I knew going in what I was going to do. I planned to give myself more time while also doing like minimal things that would make sure that the momentum didn't slow in my business. And like that's really key is that intention piece, being really intentional. And it's not just, okay, like I'm just going to take time off and do nothing. Like you can do that. That's fine. That's totally allowed. The other thing to consider with that, depending on how long you do that for or what you choose to do, is the expectations around what's going to happen during that time. I also did not expect that I was just going to book a ton of clients. Like, I really didn't expect that that was going to happen because I hadn't planned for that. That was not the intention. The intention was to take a break, to continue with the clients that I had, but to really take a break. So it wasn't like I was thinking that, oh, but I'll still get whatever 10 clients or something over that time, and then was disappointed when I didn't know. Fucking loved having the time off. And I was not disappointed at all. And in fact, just from what I had been doing, I do have a couple clients that are going to be starting, but it's really your expectations around these things are super, super important. Like that plays such a huge important piece. What was I trying to say? Whatever. That plays such an important piece in this. I think that was it. That sentence went sideways. Sorry. That happens sometimes. Also, I just have to like preface this as I don't know how many minutes in we are. My ear is so fucking plugged. I can barely hear out of it and it's really distracting. So, I apologize if I kind of go off track a little bit, like in that last sentence, because it's hurting. It's hurting so bad. But I wanted to get this recorded because I'm actually like really excited to get back. I have some really good episodes to record. I have some really good guest episodes that I recorded throughout August. So I'm super excited. But, anyways, moving on. There's a few things to break down so that, you know, you can have some tangible takeaways here and some things that will really make sense for you to consider in terms of your business and, really taking time off and planning for that. And the first one is actually planning, which everyone's like, oh my God, that's so fucking boring. I will forever die on the hill that like the boring things are actually what you need to do most probably in your business, even though no one wants to do them. It's not the like glamorous shit that always gets you the big results. It's the boring things, unfortunately. Sorry to burst your bubble, but like make them more exciting. I don't know. But if you want to take an extended bit of time off, plan for it. You can 1000% do it. And the reason why it often seems really hard is because people get to a point where they're either burnt out and then they need the time off now. And then it's like, fuck, but I can't take the time off because what is that going to look like as an impact on my business? Or, you just want to take a random trip, which I mean, you can. And this is the other thing, like allow yourself the permission to do that sometimes, maybe. Depending on there's like so much nuance. I mean, don't do it and ghost your clients, but just the reason a lot of the time it seems so hard is because it's like, well, I just want to do it right now. Well, I mean, you know what? That might not be feasible in this exact moment. That's probably going to be difficult. But if you plan for when you want to take time off, it's going to be so much easier and you're going to be able to actually enjoy it because you have planned ahead. You're able to look at what that time off means, what you want to do during that time. Are you going to be fully unplugged and checked out and just like go off, enjoy? Are you doing a pullback like I did, where, you kind of still do certain things, but not others? And those two things are really different. So it's also kind of looking at those factors and planning for those things. Because, if you are being fully checked out, you really want to set kind of that expectation too for yourself. And I think it is something that we need to plan ahead to prepare ourselves for because we aren't used to doing that. Like, we're so used to, as a society, like fucking go, go, go all the time, that if you are actually thinking about like having a time where you check out, you're gonna need to like actually plan your head for that in advance and like Be like, yeah, I'm actually doing that. And it also requires that like you let your clients know you're not going to be available, which is totally fine. I took a week off completely at the beginning of August. I started letting my clients know like 3 months in advance. And this does a few things. It allows you to like tie up anything that you need to before you're off. They have way advance notice so that they know, you know, what's going on and it's fine. It allows them to plan around when you're gone, depending on like what you do in your business. That may or may not be as applicable, but it just gives everyone that, you know, notice so that everyone knows what's going on. Instead of like if you want to take the week off next week, you being like, oh, hey, I'm not going to be here, like, peace out. They're probably not going to be impressed, obviously. But if you start giving it notice 3 months in advance, it'll be fine. Everyone's allowed to take holidays. Even though I think that it's like, I don't know if that's a weird thing online. I don't, but you actually can. I mean, if you had a client that, maybe was in a 6 month or 6 week offer or something, and you're going away for 4 weeks right when they sign up, probably not a good idea. Like don't do something like that, obviously. But otherwise, give notice. It will be fine. You can decide whether you want to extend things, what you want to do with that. If you're going to just pull back, then you need to decide what that looks like. And I'll go over more of what I did in a minute so that, you can kind of get an idea from that. The second thing is your intention. So this goes along with the planning piece. So when you plan ahead, you can also be really intentional around what you're going to do in terms of your time off and keeping your business running. Even if you want to be totally unplugged, if you do it with intention and look at things you can set up beforehand, if you want to do that, it makes it so much easier. Instead of being like, oh, I just want to take this time off, but then when it comes, you're freaking out because you got nothing, planned in advance. You don't want to be in that situation. And if you look at this well in advance, you can start, setting those things up ahead, like way ahead of time, so that it's not like 2 weeks before you're rushing to get all of this shit set up. You don't need to do that. And when you have an intention for what you want this time to like look like, feel like, be like, and what you want to get out of it, then you can plan for that to happen. You know, it's more than just deciding that you want this time off. And I think that that's where people can get thrown off too, is in that, well, then it's going to be so much work. Not necessarily, because you get to decide what this looks like. And I mean, what would you be doing anyways? It's either like, I mean, you set it up ahead of time and then it runs and you get the time off, or you work through the time and you don't, and you don't want to work on your holiday. So, I mean, I don't know. If you weren't taking the time off, you'd be working. If you want to take the time off and you want it to look a certain way, that's the trade-off. That is the trade-off for this. And there are so many trade-offs in business. And this is something that, you really have to look at in this way. It's not just, oh, I'm just taking the time off and then it'll, just fall in place. No, it's like that. you got to do something about it if you want it to, if you want your business to still run like you're there, you know? If you want to unplug and be like, hey, I'm off for 2 weeks. Don't expect me to be here. Bye. Do that. And don't do anything. It's fine. That's the other thing. Like, nothing's going to happen. And I think that that's a misconception. And it's not even a misconception, it's a hard thing for people to totally get their heads wrapped around because as much as we like want to think that, it's still like, what if? But what if when I come back, like no one notices? What if, I lose followers while I'm gone? What if, what if, what if, what if? Okay, so let's do like devil's advocate. What if? What if you lose followers? So you come back and you build back up. Like you're not going to lose like 500 followers overnight or in a 2 week period or like whatever, like unless something catastrophic happens. But if that happens, probably everyone else is having the same thing happen to them too. Like it's probably not just gonna be you. And not like nothing catastrophic is going to happen. That's kind of my point. You have to trust and believe that you can do this and it will be fine. Otherwise, you're never going to. And some of the things that, when we're talking about this like intention piece that I did, is I really looked at, okay, so what do I want social media to look like? What do I want emails to look like? What do I want the podcast to look like? The podcast I took off for the summer. I didn't record at all. I knew that I wasn't going to because the kids were home. I wasn't going to be able to likely record episodes and not have them barging into my room or the dog barking and, whatever going on in the background. So I was just like, whatever, it'll be fine. Not a big deal, but it's recognizing that ahead of time, then coming back with it. And it's fine. With social media, I decided that I was actually going to take a break and not post for a bit, which I know sounds insane because we have online businesses. But the thing is, if you have been online for like some time, you also have a lot of content build up online. You have tons. Let that work for you for a bit. Like, you really do not need to be posting every single goddamn day of every single week. You don't. You really don't. Not anytime, ever. And this is something that I think about a lot, just in general. We don't need to be on social media all the time. That doesn't need to be the biggest part of your business. It should be working with clients, doing what you actually do in your business. And so I had said beforehand on my social media that like I wasn't going to be posting on there. You can find me other places. I knew I would still post in my stories because I find stories easy. So I was like, whatever, I'll post on there. So I did that. Sometimes I took them off. Sometimes, I didn't. I think the most I took off was probably a week, maybe, of stories at a time. But I would post like a couple days, take a couple days off kind of thing. I just did it like, and that part was not, when I talked about the planning, it wasn't that I had all of that, my content all planned out for that. It was very what I wanted to talk about, honestly, because I was living life in the summer. And you know what? My account grew. So that's like the other thing. It's really, I think sometimes we just overthink these things and we put too much pressure on it, to be totally honest. But, you know, being intentional about this and just being like, okay, this is where I'm actually going to put my time in, and I'm not going to do this while I'm off. Like, I don't need to do this part. Or I don't need to do anything. Like, I'm going away on a trip and I don't need to do anything. One of the things I posted about actually when I did post again on Instagram was I started leaving my phone at home when we would go on like family walks or just out together as a family or whatever. And I fucking loved it. It was the best thing ever. Because I have a bad habit of, looking at my phone, looking at the notifications, checking to see what's there, and just like, it's just, it's habit. I don't even mean to do it, but then you get sucked in and then you're looking at something else, and then it's this, and it's distracting and it's whatever. And I was just like, I don't want to do that anymore. There's no fucking reason for me to be doing this all the time. So I left it at home. And I've been doing that a lot. And it has been so nice. It's been so goddamn nice. And it's just, being really intentional about these things. So the next one, I talked about this a little bit before, expectations. And like I said, this is one of the most important parts. Match your expectations with whatever you choose to do. Don't expect all of these clients if you pull way back and don't do anything, if you're not selling at all, if you're not promoting anything, if you're totally offline. I mean, who knows? It still might happen. I'm not saying that like it won't happen, but don't expect it. Don't put your expectations out there that like, oh, you're still going to get 10 clients a month doing nothing. And this goes for like, that really goes for all of the time. But, it's expectations are so huge. And don't get disappointed with yourself. This is the biggest thing. It allows you to not feel disappointed in yourself because it didn't happen, but it wasn't going to. There's no reason to be disappointed with yourself because it wasn't going to. That was not your intention. And so your expectations need to match that. They need to match whatever your intention was. And it's so important to think about these things ahead of time so then you're not disappointed. Get clear on this beforehand. It allows you to enjoy your time off so much more because you're not stressing about this and kind of like the background. You're not like, oh, what if? Should I check some shit? Should I do whatever? No, none of that. You can come back, feel refreshed. You can decide what your plan is also coming back, which is huge. And that's the next thing. What is your comeback plan? This is another thing. If you're just taking like a few days off, who cares? You don't need it. You don't need like a huge comeback plan. It's like not a big deal. You can come back and it's the same as usual. But like if you take an extended break, make a plan as to how you're coming back. Don't just expect, again, expectations, that you're going to just like jump into things full throttle again and it'll just be like back to normal and doing all the things and whatever. Know what you're doing coming back. You can ease into it. You know, you can go full on if that feels good, but like set those expectations going in so that you have an idea of what you're doing. And like if you're going for a big trip, maybe plan to like ease back in, give yourself a bit of time, you know? But then you can plan for it. This is like the whole thing. It's totally up to you, but make the plan and know what you're doing. Now, your pre-time off before you go away. If it's going to be over the time, again, that you would normally like be working with clients, having calls, having communication with them, whatever this looks like, again, give that advance notice. Let them know way ahead of time that you are taking time off. For that 1 week of the summer, I let my clients know that I was fully off. I wasn't doing any text, I wasn't sending emails, I wasn't having calls like that. I was not doing anything, but just let them know ahead of time. And like I said, I started letting them know 3 months in advance. So they had tons of notice, like they knew about this, and it was totally fine. But another thing is, like I said, maybe not for 5 weeks when someone's just started like a 6 week program or something, you know, that's not a good time. Or like have them start afterwards. But that's kind of common sense. So I hope people are not doing that. Um, and there might be time when, you need to extend someone's contract depending on the time that you're taking off or what that looks like. And then schedule what you need if you decide to for anything else, for your content, for your emails, for whatever you want. If you have a podcast and you want to schedule episodes out while you're off, you can do all of that. You can choose to do all of that if you want to. It's all just depending on what you choose, what your intention is. So, those are like the big things I would think about. And once all of this is kind of like in place, take the fucking time off. Take some time off. Like, we do not do this nearly enough. We really don't. And, you know, I have seen it where people just kind of like fuck off and go MIA. Let's not do that, obviously, but you're allowed to plan and take time off and give yourself space to reflect, refresh, unplug. You don't have to just live in constant hustle mode all the time, slash ever, really. You don't have to. And I mean, I argue you're doing a disservice to yourself and your clients if you are doing that all of the time. You really, really are. So give this some thought for when you're wanting to take time off next, or if you haven't taken time off in a really long time, this is probably a good time to think about it. So, another little bonus tip, like schedule it into your calendar for the year ahead. Or if you want to do Christmas, I already have Christmas planned. I always schedule this into my calendar the year in advance so that I know exactly when I'm taking off. Yeah, things might come up, but generally I have it scheduled in a year in advance. So then I can start planning for it now. And you can actually give yourself time off. And that's the biggest part. You make time for it. So I'm going to leave you with that. I hope this was helpful. I'll also link in the show notes. I do have my Asana Year Planner. So I will link that. I'll be coming out very soon with a new 2026 one because ugh, we are coming up on 2026, which I cannot believe. I don't know what happened to time, but I will link that in the show notes so that you can grab it. And that allows you to plan out your entire year. It is free. It's amazing. So grab that and let me know if this was helpful in like reframing your thoughts on time off or planning for some time off for yourself. And if you like the episode, give it a 5-star rating or and a review. And as always, go after everything that you fucking want and be unapologetic about it.